Welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the program, and it is show number 170. That's right, Education, Leadership, and Beyond, show number 170. I feel like we are delayed a little bit, but hopefully the internet will catch up here in the home office. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be the longest podcast in history here. 3 hours. We got 3 hours going here, and we are going to introduce the partnership, Surviving and Thriving. And here's the book. Here it is. So happy to have this released on EduMatch Publishing. And it is a book for parents. It's a guide for parents to help their kids in school. And we are going to meet over 15 collaborators, 15 authors, 15 contributors to the book over the next 3 hours. So stay tuned, buckle up. I got my tea, I got my water, and we'll get through the show here. But super excited. I already have some guests here in person. It's been a while since we've had guests in person, so excited to get started. Happy to be a member of the Education Podcast Network, as well as Voice Ed Radio Canada. Shout out to them. If you're into education podcasts, check them out. Voice Ed Radio Canada and the Education Podcast Network. Great shows on there. And hopefully you're into them just like you are into education, leadership, and beyond. I also want to give a shout out to my sponsors. I don't need the sunglasses. I'm inside, but riosgear.com, Murata 15. Rios Gear, now that's warm enough here in the Northeast. I'm able to go in the water and they float right down to Delaware, right, Dr. Bell? So check out riosgear.com. I am wearing Ann Collar. This is it right here, Ann Collar. Check them out. Ann Collar is their tag, anncollar.com. Murata 20, they bumped up their code also. You can get a discount. Super awesome. Just so flexible and soft and athletic wearing. And it's water repellent, right? It's sweat repellent, water repellent. Today on a hot day, you have that shirt here. And lastly, I got Hamsy's Cookies. All three of these guys are sponsoring. Check them out, Murata 15. There's that code, hamsyscookie.com. Here they come. They come vacuum sealed. And we're going to get these to our guests for joining and for their contribution. Hamsy's Cookies, Murata 15. Check that out. All right. Well, we are going to get started with our guests here soon. Our first one, Dr. Bell from Delaware Valley School District, is live here on site. But just a little intro to the book, right? Here it is. Again, it's a guide for parents to help their kids in school. And there's two kind of trains of thought here. Number one, what can parents do to help support their kids, right? When you become a parent, you do the best you can to try to support your kid in school. But, sometimes people need help. Sometimes they get misdirected. Sometimes it goes off haywire. There's a lot of tips and tricks in here of things that I learned by being a parent, things that I learned from my parents, and also things I learned from being a principal. I saw other parents doing, including our guest tonight. The second is building a partnership with the schools. How can you build a partnership with the schools? Things go good, it's easy to get along with people. Things not so good, it's hard to build those relationships. Sometimes parents, sometimes schools do things that hurt that relationship. So there's a lot of tips in here from my role as a principal of ways to build partnerships, relationships with the school, right? Things that I see through my lens that some parents do and some parents don't. So, for example, a very simple tip, right? You show up, you know the teacher's name or you know the principal's name because there's only one of them, right? Or if it's secondary, your kid might have eight teachers, you know the names. The teacher might have hundreds of names, 150, 160 names. Maybe they don't know your Joni Smith's mom. Maybe they don't know your Billy Thomas's parent. So you got to say, I'm Billy's mom. Things like that, little kind of tips. When you get angry, you don't take it to social media and blast the school district or blast the teacher. What does that do? It harms those relationships. It harms those partnerships. And those things are not good for relationship building, right? So I'm hoping if you're watching live, let me know if you could hear me well. This is on a little bit of a delay. That doesn't normally happen, but we're hoping that the Wi-Fi is up and running. So if you are watching live, let me know if the sound is coming through and that you can hear me and see me okay. We are double checking the internet here at the Murata compound. Yeah, looks like we are good to go here. So enough to do. Let's bring our first guest in. Dr. Bell, come on and squeeze in here. We are going to talk about your excerpt and your part in here. Forgive the tight squeeze, Dr. Bell. It has been a long time for an in-person guest, Doc. Good to see you.
You too, brother.
Yeah, this is Dr. John Bell from Delaware Valley School District. Come in a little closer, John. I won't bite you, I promise. Neither will Ruby. Dr. Bell is a great friend of mine, longtime mentor, Port Jervis native, many years at Port. John, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Tell me about getting involved with this project and tell our audience what you wrote here.
Well, I thought it was a great idea because the first book was great, but it was from our perspective as school administrators. So to have something that can contribute to help parents from all these different perspectives of all these different people, face it, the first time you're a parent, it's all new and you lean on everybody. This book is something that people can lean on.
And you wrote here, love him with all your heart. Here is he's got his doctorate. He knows more educational philosophies and strategies than anybody I know. And you wrote about love.
And that's just not for my own kids. I look at that way for my students too. Back when I was a middle school principal and there were 600 kids, I knew the names of all 600 kids. I eventually got to know most of the moms' names, some of the dads' names. If you know them and you care about them, you can take care of them better. And let's face it, kids are going to behave better if they have a relationship with you than if there's no connection whatsoever.
And John, you talk about love here, supporting them in their activities, but enforcing the rules. Yeah. Sometimes parents, right, they enable because they want the kid to feel happy, so they let them do everything. But you talk about enforcing the rules. So what would you say for parents to find that balance?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. I mean, it's no different than a teacher who's trying to build rapport with kids in a classroom. It's the same way with the parents. The most important thing to remember is you're not their best friend. You are their parent, and you have to guide them. You have to give them guidance. You have to give them advice. But as they grow older, you also have to talk with them about strategies on how would you handle this if I wasn't here? Because eventually they need to get to the point where they're going to be by themselves.
Yeah.
And, I always chuckle when parents of high school seniors, the first thing they want to do is run and talk to the teacher without having the kid talk to the teacher first. I'm like, the kid's 18. He's going in the military in 2 months. You're not going to be able to call the, Paris Island when your kid's in the Marines, so, have the kid talk to the teacher first. And then the parent can help coach the kid on what to say. And then if the parent needs to get involved. But you need to have that process from elementary to middle to high school of getting them to be more independent. Otherwise, they're going to be 18 and they're going to flounder.
If you're watching live, you have a question for Dr. Bell and myself, jump in. Also, let me know if you're hearing us okay. We're on a little bit of a delay here, but I think it is working. We got some viewers here. John, I love this line here. You said you grew up during the time where if you got in trouble at school, you were going to get it twice as bad at home, right? It's 100% support of the school. That has changed a little bit now, whereas if a kid is disciplined, something happens in school, they question, they come at the school, and that's some of this book. Why do you think that is? What do you think is going on there?
Well, I think there's a lot of generational changes in America. I like to say that our friends that are the baby boomers pretty much ruined it for everybody because they were the ones that questioned authority as kids, and then they became the parents questioning authority, and it really kind of spoiled that relationship. I mean, the most important thing I would say, if I ever got in trouble at school, and I love school, so I was a rule follower. That's why I'm an umpire. It's because I love following the rules. I love that there's rules. This is what you do. This is how we play the game. But I mean, everybody knew if my dad finds out, I'm dead. And my dad was a big, strong guy who, he could probably still take me to the day he died. So, I wouldn't want to mess with him. So that was understood. That was understood. And, when my kids get in trouble, they get it twice as bad at home. Fortunately, knock on wood, very rarely do they get in trouble. I think between the two of them, there was one referral, and 13 years of school for the two of them. But when that referral came, that kid got creamed at home.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. We were we were looking the other way. Yeah. John, you mentioned your boys, your beautiful wife Lynn. Your sons are getting involved. They're growing up. David's still at Delaware.
Yes.
But Michael just graduated, right?
Yeah.
Michael's going into education.
Yeah, he just graduated from East Stroudsburg University, and he's out there shopping for a social studies job. And then David's be a senior at Delaware and working in the pipeline now in the process to become a Pennsylvania State Trooper.
Wow.
So
enforcing the rules.
Yeah, it's about enforcing the rules, And sometimes, some of my best friends that are cops, they broke a lot of rules when they were kids and they had to learn the hard way, and maybe he fits that bill a little bit too,
John, what was it like for, the second part of their career? You were the superintendent. You were there early. You left in New York a little bit, and then you came back.
Yeah.
As a parent, was it challenging for you to have your boys in school there?
Well, I think the most important thing for me, when I returned to be superintendent at DV, Michael was a freshman and David was a seventh grader. They were both moving into new schools. So it was new for them. And then now dad's in the scene, right across the campus. The most important thing for me was to stay out of their business. They had to do things their own way. If a teacher ever had to call about anything, I had them call home and talk to Lynn. Because I never wanted to put a teacher in a really tough spot too. So I kind of vacated my role as parent when I'm on campus because that's not fair to the teachers. I need to have that separate identity. They can't be thinking about me as a parent. So I just totally stayed out of it in that respect. I may yell at them at home if they didn't do a homework or they did bad on a test and I know they didn't study. But I just kind of had to separate myself so that they could have their own identity and for respect for our teachers.
I love the line here too, John. You talked about it not being perfect, right? We want to be great parents. We want our kids to be excellent in school, right? It won't be perfect, nor will you, right? We're going to make mistakes as parents, but they will grow to love you and respect you more. You're such a professional, John. Tell me about when you were unsure about parenting, right? You write about should I let him sleep over? Should I not? These decisions.
Yeah. And I think any parent will tell you as kids get older, you're confronted with new situations that you never thought about. When they're little, you didn't have to think about them sleeping over at somebody's house that you didn't know, or somebody that you didn't already know the family because they grew up and went to kindergarten and first grade together. When they go to a big high school like ours, there's kids converging from all over the county, and it's just really, really hard. So you have to play it close to the vest. And there are times where you go to bed and you have that quiet conversation with your spouse about, were we too hard? How did we do? Were we okay? And you replay the tape, as our buddy Mr. X would say. You replay the tape at night in bed with your spouse so that you can make sure that you're doing a better job the next time you're confronted with one of these new situations. Do we let them ride in a car with somebody? Do we let them sleep over? Or are we confirming that there's parents home at this house? So that it's not a free-for-all with 500 kids in the backyard or things of that nature.
Nothing good's happening there.
Yeah.
So, John, how about the process of writing? You're an excellent writer. You're a professor. You've written articles, published articles, things like that. Did this come easy? Was this something that you kicked around? How did you come up with this idea of what to write?
Actually, this is probably one of the easiest things I've ever written from a standpoint of it's kind of built on the principles that my parents taught me and that Lynn's parents taught her. I grew up in a world of sports and my dad coached everything and both Lynn's parents were teachers. So we came from that world where the school was the center of the universe. And we were raised very similarly, that you never question the teacher. If you do, you're going to get it worse when you get home. So writing this was pretty simple because we lived it.
Yeah. John, what advice? Your boys are grown now, coming out of college. You are going to be, retiring from Delaware Valley at some point. You've had a lifetime of education, and I've been blessed to get a lot of that advice. What advice would you offer to parents? Maybe they have elementary age children.
Yeah, I would say when you're second guessing yourself about what to do, see if you can buy yourself more time before you have to make a decision.
I thought you were going to say buy the book.
A, do you have to make this decision right now, or can you buy yourself some more time? Can you get some more information? Can you lean on a friend? Can you call if you're a dad, can you call a dad who might have a kid who's a year or two older, or a mom call a mom? I used to say when I was a middle school principal, when you had your first kid come into middle school, I'd say, look around the room, and I'd ask all the other moms, if you've already had a kid come to middle school, this is not your first kid, raise your hand. And I would tell the ones with firstborns, okay, that's your therapy session. That's who you call. Call your girlfriends who just raised their hand because they've been through this before. Yeah. So lean on your friends. And again, buy time. Don't make a decision before you have to. If they're nagging you about sleeping over on Friday and it's Tuesday, say, okay, I got to look into this. I don't know who they are. Let me do a little homework and I'll get back to you. And you're going to screw up. Kids are going to screw up and make bad decisions, and they're going to get punished. And the goal is that they learn from it. And as parents, we're going to make some bad decisions where maybe we didn't know this particular family. We didn't let the kids sleep over, and then we find out they're just an awesome family, but we didn't know them at the time. Or the counter, where we had them sleep over someplace, and then someone says to you a week later, geez, ooh, I'm glad he came back alive, because that's a crazy place. The parents let them do whatever. And so you live and learn.
I remember speaking to you when Claire was going into kindergarten about, we held our first two back. They went to school at 6, and we talked about the pluses and minuses. But again, someone who's did it. So you offer that advice. Ask people who have been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find the kids are forgiving too, right? If you make a mistake, I've made a lot of parenting mistakes. I'll apologize to the kids. They were downstairs. They let you in. Hey, I screwed that up. That was Daddy's fault, right? And they're very forgiving.
Well, I think first of all they love you, and at that age they admire you. That changes as they get older. There's an interval in there from about 14 to 24 where you don't know anything.
Can't do anything.
So get prepared for that. I'm on the other end where hopefully they're going to start coming around again.
Got your doctor. He's a doctor.
So it's like, that's a tough time. When they go I would say 14 to 24, and the poor girls, they go through so much more than the boys. There's so much more stress, and girls are unforgiving to each other, whereas boys shake it off. But it's a learning process, and I think it's good for your kids to understand that we make mistakes too. They're going to make mistakes. The trick is, do you learn so that you do better the next time?
Love him with all your heart, Dr. John Bell, Delaware Valley Schools. Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure, pal.
I appreciate the visit. I'd walk you out, but we got the podcast going. Julie Balo, where is she?
Buy the book.
John will come autograph it for you. Thanks, buddy. All right.
Thank you.
Dr. John Bell, check him out. John, you want to give those social media tags? What's the Twitter one? You started a new one. He forgot it.
DVSD_Warriors is our Twitter.
Yeah.
And Facebook, you'll find us too, Delaware Valley Warriors.
The show, John, you must have done a good job. The show viewership just dropped when you stepped away. Thanks, Dr. Bell. All right, our next guest is also here in the home studio. Julie Balo is here. She's making her way to the podium with her buddy Ruby. Ruby didn't bother you, did she, Julie? Yeah. All right. Ruby's here along with Miss Julie Balo. Hi.
Hi, Andrew Murata.
Hi, good to see you. Whoa,
You
hi.
too.
There you are, Julie. Come try to scoot in.
Okay. Hi, Ruby.
My toe. Oh, God.
Okay.
All right.
You're all right?
Here she is. This is Julie Balo, everyone. She is a guidance counselor. She's a school counselor at Port Jervis Schools. She's my neighbor. She's my friend. And she wrote an awesome excerpt here in the book. In the book, The Partnership. Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a while.
I know.
I got you.
You got me here.
Yeah.
I am here.
So, Julie, again, I asked you to be part of this. Tell a little bit about your story and what you wrote.
So, growing up, I lived with my mom and my dad. That's where I'm looking right there.
We're on a little bit of a delay, yeah.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
So I grew up with my mom and my dad, my sister, and my dad worked for IBM. Most people know it as International Business Machines. I know it as I've been moved.
Mm-hmm.
So many school districts throughout my formative years, but it resulted in grit, and it resulted in being able to make relationships and form new friendships and things like that. So it was very daunting at the time, but then I kind of grew accustomed to change.
Mm-hmm.
And now I kind of feel like if I don't change something, I'm just stagnant. So.
And here she is. She is number 100 in the book. I think it is, and I say this as a compliment, Julie, I think it is the longest excerpt here. You had a lot to say.
I didn't know how long I should write, but I
Yeah.
guess I got it all out in a couple pages there.
And because you talked about the challenges that you went through, but you also talked about some things that parents can do to help that new kid, the kid that moves to the school.
Yes.
What are some of those things, Julie?
Well, definitely reaching back when the counselor reaches out to you. I often will call the family, talk to the student, talk to the parents, the guardians, whoever might be enrolling the student, to make sure that I've got them in classes that they want to be in, to find out where they're coming from, why did they move, just to have some background to be able to support the student when they get there.
Julie, you mentioned about divorces sometimes why people move. When that kid comes in and they've been part of a divorce, do you go about it a little differently?
Well, I mean, it could be divorce, it could be a death in the family, it could be military move, it could be all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of follow the lead of the family on how they want to go about disclosing things, and then you kind of work that relationship through.
Yeah. And I always see that transfer kid. We started a transfer orientation at our school.
Yes, we did.
When you wrote this, you wrote here, is my current home for 15 years, which is the longest you've ever lived anywhere.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm going on 16 now.
But you're remarkable in a lot of ways, and that you're a multiplier. You build relationships in this community, in the Port Jervis community. For someone who has moved so much, why did you feel it was so important to build those relationships?
Oh, no matter where I lived, building relationships was absolute key to survival.
Yeah.
Figuring out where you belong and meeting people, and as hard as it might be, to put yourself out there, you just have to do it and carry on with the tools that you have and make it work for you, I guess.
And Julie, you've been to Florida, Colorado, different schools. How has those experiences helped you in your role as a school counselor?
Well, I think the fact that I've had that experience going into a new school. So whether it's a freshman coming into our high school for the first time, or it's a senior coming in November, they're a new student, and I can relate to that feeling of, your stomach's in a knot, and you don't know anybody. You don't know where you're going to sit for lunch. You don't even know how to get lunch. So is the principal going to scream at me because I'm wearing a hat, or what are the rules? So the things like that, first of all, I tell them the principal's not going to scream at you, pretty much.
Maybe every once in a while.
But not at them. So, but those things that they're worried about the most may not be what the other adults might be worried about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's,
And Julie, you wrote that excerpt here in the book again, that partnership, EduMatch Publishing, thank you, about, being a transfer student. But you're also a parent, beautiful daughters, high school and elementary.
Going to middle. She's going to middle school.
Little entrepreneur there, Avery. But you're doing great things with your girls also. What are some things that you do, Julie, with your girls to develop partnerships with the Delaware Valley School District?
Oh, well, my oldest they both can tell you for sure. I don't step in right away. Mm-hmm. They have to talk to the teacher first if they're having any questions. They both have learned to email very proficiently with their teachers this year through Zoom and COVID times. But they have to reach out and talk to the whoever the adult is that is in charge. I mean, today Avery spoke up at camp about, which horse she wanted to ride, which horse she didn't want to ride. So
it was a hot day for horse riding.
It was a hot day.
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, they have to, form those relationships. And Hallie, high schooler, she has reached out to teachers for extra help. And she's like, oh my gosh, mommy, this is so great, because now I totally understand. And I'm like, yeah, when you reach out and you let them know that, you want that relationship and you want the extra help, it tends to work in your favor. Yeah. I didn't learn that till college. Office hours. So.
Julie, outside your role as a parent, a school counselor, you're starting to do some different things. I know you're just kind of starting. You want to
Just
talk a little bit about that?
Just starting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I would like to get involved with this, and if you're watching live, please leave us a question or a comment.
Sure. So we are, we have a high schooler. We're embarking on our own journey of planning higher education.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this for other families for 20 years, So ultimately, we are really digging deep into planning higher ed. So I've decided to start a website and a business to help families kind of have a hub of information on helping people reach educational and financial goals simultaneously, because it's very hard to say, oh yeah, I can pay for college, no problem, it's easy, and then you get the bill and it's like, oh my gosh. So planning ahead, knowing what the resources are, that's kind of what we're building.
This is a book for parents to kind of get along with schools and things like that, but you're an expert in terms of getting kids to college, navigating that, the financial aid, all of those things. So your goal, you're going to start a website, and how can people kind of find this, or how will they know if they're interested? Because every parent wants to save money in college. Yes,
and we definitely have come across some very interesting ways to do this, and things that we're ready to share. So we're trying to get all the ducks in a row, the T's crossed, the I's dotted. But coming soon is planhighered.com. So me and the website builder are,
Say it again, planhighered.com.
Planhighered.com.
Cool.
Not yet, but coming soon.
And when you say coming soon, like next week, next year, what do you think?
Oh, I'm thinking in the next few months.
Okay.
So.
All right. Julie, I want to give another little commercial. I know another love of yours is the boating.
Yes.
Here they are. These are Rios gear. I think you might have a pair.
I do.
So there will be, the Maradas are looking to sponsor the Belos, riosgear.com. So either you or your guy, please pick out a pair. Let me know which one, and we're going to get you that as a thank you for your excerpt.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate
Rios gear. They float. Do you like yours? Do you wear yours?
Yes, they're fantastic.
We signed off on it.
Yeah, I love them because like paddle boarding and everything, they're not going to sink to the bottom. I know my husband has donated several pairs to the Lake
Wallenpaupack.
Yes.
So this is Julie Balo, everyone. Again, Julie, mentioned that website one more time. Parents on their way to college, and when should they start thinking about that, Julie? Is it too soon to be thinking about it in middle school?
Never too soon.
Okay.
I don't believe it's ever too soon. But I'm thinking we're going to start grades 6 to 8 as like this, the youngest, and then moving up from there. So again, it's still in the works.
Coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, we hope.
All right. Well, Miss Julie, thank you so much. If you want to get in touch with Julie about this, certainly you can reach out to me, and I will put them in touch with you.
That sounds great.
And I appreciate your efforts, Julie. You wrote a beautiful excerpt, and kids that are transferring to schools is challenging. Julie had great perspective. So
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right.
Very much.
You know your way around here, so
I do.
I can't let you out there.
That's okay.
Yeah, you could tell Matthew I'll take my first refill of tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. And the sunglasses, let me know.
Okay.
Either you or your husband.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Miss Julie. All right. That was Julie Balo, everyone, here on the podcast. I am waiting for Suzanne Carbonero to join us. She is at the Jersey Shore. She should be here. And I'm hoping she will join us soon. That is my sister. And she should be here on the program. We have a full lineup. We have people every 10 minutes joining us over the next 3 hours. Sarah Thomas, the publisher, is going to be joining us. My college basketball coach, John Thompson, is going to be joining us. He's coming. And Jenny Cornell, Asael Ruvalcaba from Texas is coming. Jay Billy's an author and a principal. He wrote the foreword. So all of these people will be joining us soon. But my sister is supposed to be on here now, and I don't see her. Maybe we'll call her. What do you think? Call her here live on the program. Suzanne Carbonero. Maybe she's having some technical difficulties. I don't know. Let's see. We're going to call her. If you're watching live, hang tight. I apologize here, but hopefully she's joining us. Yeah, I'm live on the podcast right here, right now. We are on the podcast awaiting your arrival. Are you going to be able to join us? Right now. All right, she is not able to join us. Suzanne, we will reconnect another time. Thank you. Not able to be here. I'm not sure what happened there, but I will tell you a little bit about what Suzanne wrote. Suzanne wrote a beautiful excerpt here. Suzanne is an educator, a teacher. She wrote a beautiful excerpt about when she almost drowned as a kid. I never really knew this story growing up, and amazing. She almost drowned. She had developed some anxiety about the water and things like that. And she talks in her excerpt here about what my parents did to help her come back from that, right? Did they never allow her to go to a pool party again? Did they keep her away from the water? No. They made her go right back, right? Not right back, not the next day, but they got her lessons. They got her swimming lessons, and they talked her through that. They brought her to a therapist. So that is something that my parents did for her from a tragedy, right? And these are things as parents that we can do to support our children when they fall, right? Julie talked about her daughter being at camp with horses, right? Is that old saying of when you fall off the horse. It's not the falling off the horse. That's the thing. It's getting back up. It's getting back on there. That is the thing. And guys, if you are watching live, can someone give me a thumbs up or in the chat there that the sound is working? Again, we're on a little bit of a delay. I just want to make sure that people can hear me while we're doing that. So if you are watching, please put that in there for me. Okay. Another thing I wanted to share while we have a little break in the show here, it's called fear. False evidence appearing real. That is a tip number 54 in here. False evidence appearing real. Okay. And it's an acronym. Fear. False evidence. Sounds great. Good, Anna Rawls. I appreciate you telling that. Thank you, Anna. It's weird when I look at the screen and I see myself talking there. So that's our friend Anna Saki. She'll be joining us very soon. So with false evidence appearing real, your kid comes home and says, "Mom, there was a fire at school today," and your parents are like, "What? That's crazy." And then they go to Facebook, right? And there was a fire at school and we didn't hear about it, and they react because you hear about a fire in school and it's very concerning, right? Well, maybe it wasn't a fire in school. Hey, Matthew, thank you, buddy.
Hello.
You want to say hi? Dip your face in. Here's my son, Matthew.
Hi.
Matthew's in the book, right? Matthew has a copy of the book. Have you started reading it yet?
Yep.
You did? What tip are you up to?
I think 15.
All right. What's been your favorite so far?
The tip about how you have to work hard to get anything.
Matthew Murata, everyone. I want to get you and your buddy on the podcast. You and Sam.
Okay.
The Salmonator. What do you call it? No, the Sambino.
Sam.
Yeah, okay. So back to the story. Fear. So, right, there's a fire in school, right? That's not actually what happened. In the chemistry lab, they were using the Bunsen burner, and the thing, spilled over, and the smoke detector went off. That's not a fire in school, but right, the game of telephone, people get talking, and then they think something crazy happened, but that's not what happened, right? It was false evidence appearing real, and people got rolling with that, and they got going with that. So, so those are some things that can happen here. But our next guest is here, and she is coming in. Sarah, I'm going to bring you right into the program. Here she is, everyone, from EduMatch Publishing. This is the publisher, Sarah Thomas. Sarah, there you are. Welcome.
Oh, hey, thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you for having me, and congratulations to you.
Well, thank you for making this happen. Sarah is the publisher. Sarah, am I saying it right? CEO, owner, which one? Is it everything?
Yeah, it's both. both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you, Sarah. Before we get talking about the partnership here, tell us about you and EduMatch and how did you go from being an educator to a publisher? How'd that happen?
All right, so the short version is that I've been an educator now for almost 17 years, taught every grade from first to 12th, plus in the
Oh my
master's
God.
program. Yeah, and I'm a regional tech coordinator by day in a large district in Maryland. So that's like what I do 9 to 5, and then I say 24/7, I hold down EduMatch. So, EduMatch is a grassroots organization of educators around the world learning and growing together. We have 4 different branches, one being like the original where we're kind of on social media, just learning and growing together. Second one part is the part that we're talking about today, the publishing. The third one, we have the nonprofit arm where we give out mini grants to educators, and the fourth one is the professional learning. So that's a little bit about EduMatch in a nutshell.
Wow. You're incredible, Sarah. You really are
You are.
incredible. What made you want to start this?
It's funny because it was just kind of on a whim, just talking to a friend of mine and just being like, hey, something you said reminded me of something that my cousin said, who used to be a teacher. So you all should connect. And, just from there, then that's kind of where it started, just, matching people up on Twitter. And then from there, people brought their great ideas and we just kind of grew it from there. So, it's been a lovely journey over the past 7 years now.
Yeah. And I think I'm a busy guy, Sarah, but you are one busy cat. And I appreciate your work ethic and you're inspiring. What in this book, Sarah, caught your attention to say, this is something that I want to be part of?
Yeah, I love the fact that you were targeting it towards parents, because I feel like parents are so super important. They're one of the most important stakeholders in education. Like all of the stakeholders are important. We all have roles to move education forward, but I love the fact that you were targeting it towards parents. I feel like there needs to be more literature out there targeted towards parents. So when you shared your idea with me, I was just like, this is amazing. So let's rock.
Cool. And Sarah, a lot of people want to write books and they don't really know how to do it. What was a couple things that you saw about this idea that you said, oh yeah, I want to go with that?
Yeah, definitely. So I love the fact that you brought in your own personal experience to it, from multiple different lenses. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, as a parent yourself, as an educator, even as a referee, like I was just like, that is super cool, because that's one of the things that that I always tell people about writing. Like, nobody's going to have the same experiences that you do. Nobody's going to be able to tell a story the way that you do, because nobody's going to have like that unique perspective. So I felt that your book was unique in just so many different ways, because you brought in like all of these different lenses, and I just thought that was really amazing.
Cool. Was there any stories that really stood out? Do you remember any of the stories?
Oh goodness, there were quite a few that stuck out. I remember that you were talking about one. I want to say it was a family reunion that you had,
Mhm.
and you had the pictures and everything in there, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this personal touch is just so amazing. I absolutely love that.
Cool. Cool. Sarah, how do you keep track of it all? The next book, the next project. How do you do that?
Well, I have to give a huge shout out to everybody behind the scenes, just keeping, everything going and taking things to the next level with EduMatch. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and shout out our team really quickly,
Yeah, please.
involved with EduMatch Publishing. So we have Mandy Freilich, who's our COO. We also have Dr. Tatul Ntoya, who is our acquisitions editor. We have Martine Brown, our managing editor. Alyssa Frazier, who is our children's book consultant. Melody McAllister, who's our logistics manager. Dr. Casey Jakubowski, who is our Outlook coordinator, or our outreach coordinator, forgive me. And we also have many editors that we work with, cover designers, just really, keeping everything running. So it's all teamwork. It's all teamwork.
They are a great team. They were user friendly, and you were so forgiving. I handed you this book, not ready. I thought it was ready, and you helped me clean it up. You were very patient. Sarah, what would you say to the educators out there, the parents out there that maybe want to write something, but they don't know how to get started, or they don't know what to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, then I would say just kind of brainstorm, just start jotting down ideas. Like really just using the design model to it. Like I learned about the design model and like the brainstorming, and then, the organizing. I would say it's like a little different when it comes to writing, but you could brainstorm your ideas, then start kind of organizing them, grouping them around different themes, and start plotting out your chapters. There's even software that does that. There's one called Scrivener that will, allow you to just kind of brainstorm many different things and just kind of move them around and develop chapters. So I mean, like, just get started. Like, that's the hardest part, but that is the most important part.
Yeah. Sarah, another thing you helped me with was to write with a wider lens, in terms of race and equity. Right? I wrote something about have your kids travel international during their schooling, and we had the conversation through the document, through emails, through talking. Andrew, what could you offer that if a family can't afford it, right? Because not every family can afford that, and that wasn't something I didn't think about. You helped widen my lens. Is this something that you're seeing more as a publisher, about people writing more about race and equity?
Definitely. It's a conversation that really needs to be had, and it's being had more and more. And I'm very encouraged to see more people, discussing it, and just making everything more accessible to everyone. So I love that you like stepped up, once we had that conversation. I thought that was just super awesome. Like, throughout this process, you've been amazing, super receptive, and that's definitely something that I appreciate.
Yeah. Well, and we're gonna give some books away tonight. People leaving comments in the chat. Even afterwards, we're going to come back, but I'd like to give some books away to make this accessible to people, to get this into the hands of the parents. So I appreciate that, Sarah. Sarah, I'm going to juggle a little bit here. I was able to flip-flop you and my sister.
Okay.
So I'm going to bring my sister into the program now. Okay. I appreciate you joining me, Sarah, all right?
Thank you so much for having me, and congrats again.
All right. Thanks for a few minutes, Sarah. Be well, my friend.
All right. You too. Take care.
All right. All right. All right. Welcome, Suzanne Carbonero, to the program.
Hello, welcome. Thank you. I feel very special to be here today, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
We don't have to ask where you are because it's right on your ball cap.
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty obvious about my stuff.
Well, we got a little out of order there, but I'm glad I was able to spend a few minutes here with you. I did tell the story, Suzanne, of what you wrote about the drowning and what not drowning, that just in the water, but what mom and dad did for you to help build you back up.
Look at the irony of where I am.
And there you are.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I was upset at the time, and it's been like one of those feelings that you sort of bury because you don't want to face it. You don't want to think about the fear of what that was like. And so I kind of put it out of my mind, but it was always there, but if it wasn't for them pushing me, I wouldn't be standing out here kayaking in the middle of the bay in Long Beach Island, or swimming or boogie boarding with you as a 12-year-old when we almost drowned in Ocean City, Maryland. And I wouldn't have probably pushed my kids. More importantly, there's like that fundamental lesson that you learn about doing things that are difficult, even if they are difficult, even if you don't like it. You have to do it. And I went to pool parties sitting outside the water with a bathing suit on, but refused to go in until one day, I decided, because my parents suggested it, mom and dad suggested it, that we would go down to Lions Pool in Tompkinsville and actually take swimming lessons.
That water was really cold.
The water was cold, but it was Mr. Simon, and I know we're coming up on the Olympics, and he trained Olympic swimmers. So,
Wow.
you know, he had me at Olympics, you know, and we went, and it was cold, and it wasn't the best as far as hygiene goes, but we all survived, and we all became very good swimmers, I think, as a result. But it was really the fundamental facing of the fear and saying, you know what, I'm stronger than that, I'm bigger than that, and I'm gonna take that emotion and use it to help me push forward. I mean, there's adrenaline that you use when you do anything, Andrew. You make decisions, you're using adrenaline, you're using your wisdom, of course, but there's that drive that keeps pushing you forward. And I think that's the thing that kept me going all these years, from running to kayaking to making really difficult decisions at work.
Suzanne, we only have a minute left, and I know I
Yeah.
appreciate a couple minutes on your vacation. You're an educator, you're a parent. You could have chosen so many things to write about. I didn't tell you what people to write about. What
No.
made you write about that incident where you almost drowned at a pool party?
Because it has been a backbone to what I've been doing as a parent. I have always told my children, you know what, you have to play that sport for a season. If you commit to a team, you have to play. The team is counting on you. I don't care if you're the worst person on the team or the best person on the team. And I don't care if you don't like it. You got to, stay with it, stay the course. So I think I chose that because there's a lot of difficult decisions that we make as parents for our children. We don't want them to feel pain. We want to use our wisdom again to prevent that pain from happening. And I think it makes you stronger to push yourself forward. Even my daughter said to me more recently, as she came home from the military, she said to me, you know what, Mom, I know you always said that sometimes we have to do things we don't like. My son said it very similarly the other day too, because he's struggling with a job right now. Sometimes you have to do things you don't like. It's really hard. And I said, it is really hard, but we learn something from it. So I chose it because I had buried it for so many years. And when the book was going to be called, the partnership, and it focused on the parent, teacher, parent, school relationship, I thought, you know what, this is probably the best fundamental lesson that I learned from my parents.
And you helped me with the title. Suzanne, I want to bring in an old friend. I don't know if you know who's next on the show,
I don't.
but I know you met him, Coach Thompson. I don't know if you remember meeting Suzanne years ago, but Suzanne, it's Coach Thompson from former Guilford College here in North Carolina Wesleyan. Coach, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to see both of you.
Coach, do you have enough air back there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Coach T, I don't know if you remember Suzanne. We were at one of the schools in Virginia. She walked up to Jack and said, you better put him in the game.
I drove 6 hours. I need to see the kid play.
That's funny. That's funny. And did he help you out?
Did he help me out? The kid came in and threw 2 3-pointers in a row.
There you go.
Him out.
Very good. Very good.
All right, Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to talk to my friend, Coach T.
Bye, Coach
Great
T.
to see you.
Thanks, Andrew. Bye-bye.
Coach Thompson.
How are you, sir?
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. You've been on the program here a couple times now. I'm thrilled to have you on.
Thanks. Well, it's my pleasure. It's an honor for me to be with you.
I got to mute Suzanne here, Coach. Let me figure this out here. She's still watching.
That's right. I'm feeling those ocean breezes with the wind.
She's in LBI there. Yeah. She likes LBI. There, we got her muted. Coach, did you get the package? Did it arrive?
It did arrive. I was very impressed. Very impressed.
Well, I'm impressed by you. I asked you, what kind of players do you look for? And from the college basketball coach's mouth, from the parents' mouth, why don't you tell us how you answered that made it to the book here?
Right. So I told you that we looked for OKGs. Obviously, all of us as coaches in basketball are looking for height, size, strength, athleticism, guys who can shoot, handle, and pass, guys who can defend, all of those things. at whatever level we are. But equally, if not more importantly, we're looking for OKGs, our kind of guy. Fit is extremely important. Having guys who want to be part of what we're doing, that's really important. And I think if you have OKGs, sometimes you can do with a little less height or a little less talent or a little less of something else, because the fit and the relationships and the chemistry that comes out of that is more important than any play I can diagram or anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so great to hear you say that, because I wasn't one of those guys that was starring on the court. I wasn't one of those guys, but I was so happy to just be on the team. So I tried to do some of those things, even though I wasn't, making the buckets or blocking the shots, things like that.
Right. So, role identification. And, for a long time in coaching, we used to talk about accepting your role. And then over the now 35 years I've been in college basketball, I have moved from accepting a role to embracing a role, and then beyond embracing to starring in your role. And so whether that is to be a starter, to be the leading scorer, to be the leading rebounder, or whether that's to be the 6th or 7th man, or whether that's to be the 12th man, but make your team better in practice every day, to be the best teammate you can be. Like, we all have roles to play. They are all important. Every member of your team is important. And sometimes it's hard, like being the 12th man may not be the role that you want to have, but I think if you understand where you are today and can star in that role, roles change all the time. You may unfortunately have an injury. You may unfortunately have an academic casualty on your team. You may encounter a lot of situations with the pandemic. You may have a guy who's out for COVID protocol. And so are you ready when your opportunity comes to, while I'm starring in my current role, I'm ready to jump in at the moment's notice and perform at a level where now maybe my role has changed. That's key. And I think, there's a term that goes around a lot lately, I think, be ready so you don't have to get ready. And I think if you are ready and stay ready, while, again, starring in whatever role you have today, but understanding that may not be my role forever. I just have to keep working.
Well, you might have just wrote your next excerpt for the Tales from the Hardwood book, because I like that. Be ready, get ready. But Coach, I don't know if you had a chance to see it. I tell a story in here about that I was sitting on the bench, and Jack went to go put some people in, and they said no. He said, "You want to go in?" And they said no. And then he said, "Me?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going in." And then I got moved ahead of those guys. I went from 13 to 11 or 10
Right.
on the bench, but those guys weren't ready. And it's interesting to hear you tell that story.
Yeah, I think so often guys can become disgruntled when they don't get in when they think they should get in, or they don't get in for the duration of time that they think they should be in. And so then when they do get their chance, they're not ready and they don't perform as well. And what we try to get our players to do, and I've been blessed to coach some really great players, but more importantly, some really great people. And so whether you play whether you start, play the middle of the first half, or whether you get in for the final minute and 30 seconds of the game, how do you treat that? And if you get in for the last minute and 30 seconds of the game and treat it like it's the most important 90 seconds you've ever played, well, there's a chance that maybe the next time that becomes 3 minutes and then 6 minutes. And now you may be passing some guys who were ahead of you, and those minutes expand. But if you go in, as I have seen happen, you're clearly disgruntled. You're not happy that, well, coach just put me in with a minute and 30 seconds to go, or you, in the case that you cited, choose not to go in.
Come on.
Well, like, you are helping yourself down the line. You're not helping yourself move up. And so, and look, I know that's not easy, but one of the things that we talk about it, we talk about it in the recruiting process. We talk about it with our team. We talk about it in individual meetings. And, you know, again, I've been blessed to coach some really great guys, and we don't really have a whole lot of what we're discussing. But when I go recruiting, when I just came from a bunch of high school tournaments, a bunch of AAU games, I see it. I see it every weekend. And, you know, I wish that I could pull those guys aside and say, hey, listen, you know, you're not helping yourself.
Because they're not OKGing, but I know they're going to have someone looking to come there to get some playing time. What's it like for you, Coach? Your son's going to be joining you on the team here next year.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Yeah, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging for Jack as well as myself. But I think to share the experiences of being on a team together, and to go through the work that a team goes through, to experience the ups and the downs, and to experience some of the things that we do off the court. You know, I'm really excited about it. It'll be special.
Cool. Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough. What I'd like to do is I'm going to have my assistant clean up your excerpt. I'm going to send it to you in a nice Google Doc, and maybe it could help you a little bit with your recruiting, that you were part of a book and all this, because you've helped me in so many ways be a better father, be a better educator, and I appreciate you so much, my friend.
Well, the feeling is mutual, and you know, I couldn't say that I'm any more proud of, you know, what a guy has done and what I've seen you do as an educator, and now, you know, author and speaker, and all the things that you've got going on. You know, I knew that I really liked this kid when I saw you as an 18-year-old up in New York, and you know, honored that you came and let me coach you for a little bit, and again, proud of what you're doing.
Cool. Well, Coach, I know we spoke about writing, and you're going to start to put some things on paper. I'd like to connect that dot with Sarah. She was just on. She's the publisher from EduMatch, and maybe that'll get you going. And I'm looking forward to the excerpt for Tales from the Hardwood.
Sounds great, man. Take care.
All right. My best to the family. Tell Laura I want to see the program. She better pump it up on social media.
All right. So, hey, listen, best to your family, to your mom, everybody, and Jen and the kids, and please take care. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thanks for having me on.
The hair's looking good, Coach.
Thank you, sir. I'm trying to keep it.
Coach John Thompson, North Carolina Wesleyan College. Coach, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate a few minutes here. All right, my friend?
Thank you.
Talk to you, Coach. All right, we are going to bring our next guest in. That was John Thompson, my coach. Jenny, I'm going to do a quick commercial for our sponsors here. Number one, Halvesies Cookies. Here's my guys, Halvesies Cookies. Coach T, I got to send you for some of the boys here. They come vacuum sealed from New York. Murata 15 is the code here. Halvesies Cookies, check them out. My friend David Maffei, Heather, his wife, his beautiful son. Coach, they come vacuum packed. You throw them right in the toaster, right in the oven. You'll be banging. You'll be ordering these for your team, Coach. I'll tell you what. Halvesies Cookies. Number two, Rio's Gear, my glasses here. Rio's Gear, Murata 15 also. They float, coach, when you're out on the water. There it is, riosgear.com. Use code Murata 15. They float. So it's finally warm enough here in the Northeast. I can wear my glasses. And lastly, Coach T, I know you like to dress nice. And collar. Check it out. And collar. Murata 20 is the code. I love it. Coach, it's athletic. It stretches. It water. Look, check this out. Ready? We're going to do a little commercial. Check it out. Check it out. Wow. Rolls right off you. Right off you. And collar. I love it. Check it out. Murata 20 is the code there. So a little commercial for my sponsors. But I got my girl here. My girl Jenny's waiting. I got to bring her into the show. Jenny Cornell, welcome.
Hello. How are you?
Jenny, we're going to have a lot of guests on the program tonight. You are in the running for best hair. You just look tremendous.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. You ended with a hair note on the coach, Coach Thompson, and you're starting with a hair note with me. Consistency.
He does have great hair. This is Jenny Cornell, everyone, from Port Jervis. We go way back, Jenny.
Yes, we do. We do.
Many years from the PTA.
Yes, we do. It's been wonderful getting to know you and embracing a lot of things through Port Jervis High School and the district overall.
Yeah, and I appreciate you so much. When I met Jenny, she was working with the PTA. John Bell was on earlier, and he talked about people going through for the first time. And Jenny's son, Sean, came through for the first time, and we had our orientation. And she came to me respectfully and said, Andrew, it wasn't enough. Like, it wasn't enough information. This is my first kid. I got to know what's going on. And you did it not in a way to like attack me, but you did it in a way of saying, hey, I need more. And you woke me up to really to do more support for parents. So I'm grateful for you for that, which in turn, Jenny, kind of sparked this here, getting going with some tips. So tell me about that. Do you remember doing that?
I do. I absolutely do. And I want to thank you for being so receiving of it, but more importantly, listening. Listening is key on so many levels. If you're not really heard, not much can happen. And you took the time and you listened to me. And I remember my son coming out of middle school, and I remember knowing, when he goes into 9th grade, day 1 to the last day as a senior, he's got a track record. It's all recorded. It all matters. It starts to go on paper. And I needed my son to know that. I needed my daughter to be aware of that as she followed him right behind. And I needed the school to know that. And, there's no I in team. We all know that. And so there's the home team at home and there's the school team. But we're one team together. And we have to really work together. And it starts with communication. And it's something I've always embraced in my life on many levels, most importantly for my children. Yeah.
And you write about that. Here's your excerpt here. The village is a home.
Yes.
The picture of your beautiful family here.
Yes.
And this was great, Jenny. Tell me about, why you chose this topic. You just started to talk about why did you choose it? Why did you name it that? It takes a village is the home.
A village is a home, and it takes a village. Yes. Well, because we really don't do it all on our own. There's input from friends, from peers, from teachers, from coworkers, from your superiors at work. It all ties together, and you create an environment with the help of all the players involved. And I felt fortunate to have cooperating players on all levels. Port Jervis is a great town. I was not born and raised here, but my children were, and they were raised here. And it's one of the best decisions I think I made in my life, because when you're heard, and people care, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And through all my years, from kindergarten to 12th grade, I've always been right there, always been a part of it. I've embraced when, the school had a website, but it grew over time, and, it just advanced so much. And I stayed right there with it. The morning notes, I could remember my kids in high school, they weren't real crazy that I knew what was coming over the announcements and the whole 9 yards from time to time. But it kept me involved. It kept, it kept the conversation going at home, because we're all guilty of it. We all were kids. We all grew up, mom and dad, after a certain time, that may be not so interesting for a certain part of your life, right? So how was your day? You get the typical, it was good. It was good. Well, tell me a little bit more about good. Let's define good, and being connected and communicating allowed me to keep that conversation going two ways.
Well, and you write it here at the end, and I just thought this was so well written, Jenny. No one is perfect, but when you speak from your heart with conviction or sincerity, whichever may be needed, it displays the purest form of respect. Communication is priceless. Always have an open ear, strong shoulder, and a warm heart when someone needs you to listen to them. The fact that you stepped forward, said those things to me in a way that you brought me closer, not pushed me away. And then we started doing a parent panel, and you were the first guest, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I was. And I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled to have that done. It truly is priceless. And when you do listen, nobody learns the same. No, we all don't walk the same path. We all get to maybe the same place, but we get there different ways, and when you just embrace the variety of individuals and you put yourself out there and you listen and you care and you respond, we're all not perfect. We all, some of the greatest points in people's life, or turning points in people's lives, are failures, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a learning curve, and you figure out what you really want to go after, and what life is really all about for you.
Well, Jenny, again, that experience, I think, really stemmed maybe the idea of this book, because you did that as a parent. You helped me do that. And certainly I learned from that experience about building relationships. So I am grateful to you. I do have to get rolling, Jenny. I hope you enjoy the rest of the book. And if I can support you in any way, let me know.
All right. Will do. Thank you, Andrew. It was a pleasure.
Jenny Cornell, everyone. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. We are bringing in our next guest. That was Jenny Cornell from Port Jervis, New York. But coming from way out west, down south, my paisan from Texas. Here he is, the Rio Hondo crew. Asael Ruvacaba.
Send it.
The Send It crew. Hello, my friend.
What's going on, brother?
It's honored to talk to a celebrity, man. In between all your book signings, everything you're doing, I got a few minutes with you. What's going on, man? You look great.
Hey, not much. We're actually on vacation. We're out in Waco.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you got all the kids with you? Everybody made the trip?
Everyone. Yes, sir.
Man, you lucky you got a good job, because that's a lot of kids to feed on vacation.
Big time.
Asael, it's great to be with you. Thank you so much for writing about it. You and your beautiful family. Let me pull up the excerpt here. What made you choose your topic? You named it the most difficult job in the world. Mr. R from South Texas here. There it is. What made you pick that topic, Asael?
Just, what, parenting, just from my point of view, is just a very difficult job. I mean, I'm a principal, and I'm a principal of 500 students, but nothing compares to being that parent of, your 3, 4, 5 kids, just being that parent, and one of those things is knowing when to let go, and it's kind of like a closed fist. As they're growing up, you want to hold the babies tight, you want to hold them close to you, but then eventually you're gonna have to let them grow up. So kind of like a fist opening up, and then they mess up or whatever, and you bring them back in. So that's kind of like an analogy that I like to use for parenting.
Your beautiful children, Anika, Clarissa, April, Brianna, and AJ. I love what you wrote about. It was very practical, right? You think they should have chores, you wrote about, and you said it's, as a parent, you better tell them you love your kids every day. Tell me about that, Asel. Why do you think that's important?
Kids need to hear it every single day. I mean, they're some kids nowadays, they really have it tough, and growing up in this world is not an easy thing. And I do talk to a lot of our friends, and we always have these conversations about kids and all the expectations, and the academics and all that has really grown exponential over the years since I've been in school. So there is a lot of pressure. There is social media out there, and things that we didn't have to deal with growing up. We didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. So kids, they do have it very difficult, and that's why it's very, very important that we tell them every single day. It's better for them to hear it from one of us than from someone else.
I love it. I also like that you wrote about talking about love, but it's important that the kid knows they're not your friend, right? Tell me about that.
Just growing up with my dad, obviously with my dad, there was always fear. And that fear turned into respect. And that's very key right there, that fear does become respect. And I mentioned it in the book that, growing up, like me personally, the last thing I wanted to hear from a teacher or anyone, any staff member at school, counselor, whatever the case might be, hey, I'm gonna call your mom, or I'm gonna call your dad. And I'm like, no, please don't. That's the last thing, as growing up, that I wanted to hear, that you were gonna call my parents, because I knew I was gonna get it. So as a principal, when I do hear, I'll talk to a kid and I'll let him know, hey, you know what? I'm gonna have to call your mom or your dad about the situation that we're dealing with. And then when I see the kid kind of like, okay, go ahead. I know there's going to be issues there, or there are issues at home that, the parent needs to be, I guess, more firm. There needs to be some respect at home that is the authority figure.
Yeah. And now that this book, right, I'm hoping that parents get this and say, wow, he's right here to help empower that parent. Because I always try not to blame them, but to help them. And that's the goal of this book. I say, you're on vacation and you still got your principal hat on here.
Every single day, brother.
I love it, man. And that's a dedicated principal. Tell me, what are some things that your family does on vacation? What are some things that you guys do to relax?
Every year we try to go out to the lake just to get away from where we live. So there's a lake out there by north of San Antonio that we try to hit, at least every summer. So we've been trying to make that a tradition. We had 2 kids graduating this school year.
Come on.
2 kids. So one of them graduated from college and one from high school. So this is our little, gift for them.
I love it. I love it. I say, another thing you're doing, you're writing books, you're leading your school, you're parenting. Yeah, I love the promotion that you do at your school. You guys are right next to the Space Center, right? Something with the space.
SpaceX, yes, sir. SpaceX.
Love it. You're right there. But you're also very fit. Now here I am in New York at 6:30, and I feel tired. And then I see on social media you're at 4:30 doing push-ups. I mean, how do you do it?
I like routines, and I like to wake up every single day at a certain time. So that's my morning routine, kind of get up, stretch out, get my body going, my mind going. And it's what kind of drives me every single day. And there are very few times that I don't work out, and for the rest of the day, I kind of just feel very sluggish. But that's another reason I'm like, you know what, I can't let this happen. So at the very least, kind of just to get up, do some push-ups, do a little run here and there, and that's pretty much it.
I love it. Well, you're inspiring principals and parents around the country. You and your wife Amy, and I've had so many guests on tonight. I say, oh, this has really been great. But so many of the parents say, we know we're not perfect. Parents, they're trying sometimes too hard, but you say that, and we don't have all the answers. We come from different backgrounds, but you do your best to make it work. What do you say to parents that maybe try too hard or are not forgiving of themselves enough?
There is one thing that we try to tell our kids. We do allow them to go their own route. You kind of want to guide them along the way, make sure they don't have the same, pitfalls that we might have had. So you try to guide them, but you have to, at one time or another, you're going to have to let them go. As much as we want to be there kind of sheltering them, that's kind of like, that's probably not going to work. And one thing that we do try to tell our kids is just to maintain their grades, be respectful, just live a good life, kind of the life that we want them to live.
Awesome. Well, it's really, you're doing it as parents. I love the beautiful picture you have here. But you've had some parents come to you about your excerpt. I've seen you signing books. What has that meant to you to be part of this project here?
It's kind of surreal, just being from the neighborhood that I'm from. And I'm going to be honest here with you, Andrew, and that is that growing up, we didn't have any books at home. Yeah. We didn't, aside from the World Book Encyclopedia that my dad purchased. But as far as reading books, novels, things of the sort, we never had them growing up. So kind of seeing my excerpt on a book, my name on a book, it's something very special. And I do want to thank you for this opportunity. And it's kind of a good example, obviously, for my kids and my family.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell this to you, Asael. You have a lot to offer. I'm sure you have a lot of stories. The Send It crew. We had Sarah Thomas on here from EduMatch. I would love to connect you with her, and I would challenge you, Asael, as a Latino American living where you live on that border, working with the population that you do. You're an inspiration to many. So I would love to see you continue that. And if I could help you, support you in that journey, I would, because you have a lot to offer, and you're doing it on so many levels. So I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Enjoy your vacation. We'll be in touch, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll see you.
Send it, baby.
Big time. Send it.
See you, Asael. Take care.
Yes, sir. We'll see you, Andrew.
All right. Live in studio. He's here in the home office. I don't know if you've ever been up here, Mr. Frank.
I haven't.
But he's here. We're going to make room for him. He got his buddy Ruby. Come on in, Mr. Vogel. We'll make room for him. I appreciate you watching live, tuning in here. This is Frank Vogel. Come in. We got to get you in the center of the screen. Pull up a little bit, Frank. I know it's a little tight quarters here.
I don't want to get too close to you.
Wow. Hello there, Frank Vogel. No, you got to come towards me. There you are.
There we go. All right.
He works in Jersey. It hurts you. This is Frank Vogel, everyone. A friend of mine. We are neighbors. We are friends. No, stop moving. You can stay right here. Actually, turn the chair a little bit. I won't grab your leg.
All right.
Good. So this is Frank Vogel, everyone. Neighbor, friend. Worked many years in New Jersey. 3 beautiful daughters. And Frank and I got to know each other through church, school, sports.
Yep.
But I quickly realized, wow, him and his wife, not only super nice people, but they're amazing parents. They were doing things as friends. I was saying, oh my God, they're incredible. These girls are incredible. This don't happen by accident. And we became pretty good friends with some similar ideals. Yeah.
Yep.
So tell me, Frank, I asked you to do this, and you kind of were like, right, yeah, I'll do it. And you jumped right in. I'm going to pull up your excerpt here. Tell me about your participation here. Was it fun? Was it stressful? Be involved and engaged is the name of yours.
I wouldn't say stressful, but I have to start off by, saying that the wife had a lot to do with it, obviously. I mean, being a stay-at-home mom, she was, intricate part, obviously, raising the girls. And I just kind of followed her lead. So you might have the wrong person on.
But you wrote this, though, or your wife? It was a dual effort.
It was a dual effort.
All right. Well, the reissue, we'll put Jen and Frank.
All right.
Jen, we love you, Jen.
I just took credit for it.
But here's his beautiful girls. His oldest. Here we go. Abby just graduated, salutatorian.
Yes.
From Delaware Valley, going to Lehigh University. So tell me about your topic here about being involved, engaged, because again, you and I are passing like ships in the night, driving here, going there, going to church, going to the Knights of Columbus. We're getting this stuff done.
We're doing it. We're just, like I said in the book, we had a plan, and knock on wood, it's working pretty good. And just, focusing on our children. And, my wife gave up her career to be a stay-at-home mom. And
was this something that you talked about like before you got married, or as you were married?
I mean, a little bit of conversations before we were married, but mainly once we decided to have children. We wanted to have children before we got married, obviously, and we also talked about if we couldn't have children, adopting and things like that. We were both on board for that, and fortunately, we were able to have children. And we just
Ruby loves you.
Ruby looking me away, but no, just focusing on the kids. My wife, decided to be a stay-at-home mom, give up her career, like I said, and from there, it's been working so far for the most part. I mean, nothing's perfect, obviously, but they don't come with manuals, that's for sure. So
you're right, and they don't come with manuals, but you guys are making it look easy, and we know it's not. He's got 3 beautiful daughters. They're involved, they're engaged. So what are some practical things that you and your wife do to make that happen? Because it's not easy, but you make it look easy.
It's definitely not easy. But communication's a big thing, being involved. Again, my wife giving up her career, being in Girl Scouts,
the PTA. I just had Jenny Cornell on for Port Jervis. Your wife is heavily involved.
Absolutely, she was. Not so much now, but she was when they were younger, and volunteering at the school. Both of us, like you also, being there for special events and just being parent reader for a little block. Just little things like that. I don't know. We just kind of just went with it, and again, my wife Jen, I would take the lead. She'd be like, "Hey, are you off this day? I got you for a block to go read one of the girls' class." I'm like, "All right." I'm gonna be working in the yard, but I'm gonna show up all muddy and dirty, but that's all right.
And Frank, you retired from the New Jersey State Parole, right? Obviously, working with people that have made mistakes along the way, people that have made errors. Did that help you to see the hard times on people, to even focus more on your girls and your family?
Absolutely. And, we kept it simple. I said, just be productive people in society, be good people. And, that's all really I ask, and it's just pretty basic. Your little part in society, if everyone did their little part of it, this world would be much better. So it's, that's pretty much was my major thing. And also, again, a lot of substance abuse and things like that. And, talking to the kids about that and being open and, and, they knew what I did. And, and unfortunately, a lot of people made mistakes. And, I tried and help them out as much as I could when I was working, and, but just them hearing my stories.
Sure. I mean, you write it right in here. Drugs and alcohol exposure is one of my biggest fears as a parent. The substance abuse can destroy so many lives and families. So here's your daughter. She just graduated, right? And you hear about these crazy parties and things that go on, and parents serving alcohol to teenagers. So what would you say to parents that have teenage kids? How do you navigate that? Well, Dad, let me have a drink. Or Dad, the parents are collecting the keys. How do you manage that?
That's a tough one. I mean, it's really hard to answer. I don't know. I kind of put me on the spot there.
Well, hey, what do you think? We asked the easy questions here on education leadership.
Well, you were doing the heavy lifting now. That's a tough one. I guess you got to, take it as it goes, and it's a fine line.
It is.
You don't want to condone it too much, but yet you don't want them to not be exposed to things. So
Sure.
it's hard.
It's a balance, but your girls are working. They are involved. They are, like you said, being productive members here. But as a friend and as a neighbor, and it is inspiring, right? And it's also right. Keeping up with the Joneses, right? People try to match. Well, they got this kinds of shoes. Well, I look at it. What are the Vogels doing? What are the Vogels doing in terms of how, getting their kids academically sound, decisions that they're making, and it is inspiring because my kids are just a little bit behind yours.
Well, I appreciate it, and you got great kids too, and we're all fortunate. And another thing is faith, as you said earlier. We both go to church, and our kids are involved, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. And we just kind of exposed it to them, brought them to church, and they took off from there and volunteered being teachers and things like that.
That's right. They taught this at this school.
Yeah, so,
Anna was the altar server.
Yeah, so just little things like that. It just, I don't know. A lot of praying too.
That's right. Matthew, take care of you downstairs. Did he host you?
He didn't host me, but I kind of beat him to the punch. But he called me when I was walking up the stairs.
Just walking around the house.
I was just hanging out. I was going to grab a beverage, relax.
Well, I appreciate you writing the excerpt. We got to share it with your family. Your mom was there. So was your family proud? Like, wow, Dad wrote this excerpt in the book?
No, not really.
They were like, how'd that happen?
But we are going on vacation the end of the week. We're going down to Disney, then we're going to the beach. So I haven't had a chance to crack it open yet. Just read my little piece. But I will be bringing it and be reading it on the beach.
What did your daughters think of Dad jumping in with this?
They really didn't say much either. They were like, "Oh, that's great, whatever." It's just
go cut the lawn.
Exactly. All right, that's great, Dad. We're busy, but no, I mean, it is cool. I think it's definitely cool, and but they really didn't say much too much.
So he's very humble. He's very modest. But this is great advice. And again, I would advise you, right? You make friends with people that you have things in common with. You certainly don't judge how other people are raising their children, but when you see some successful people, you see some good things going on. I think it's important that you talk to those people. And I've asked Frank and Jen, hey, how did you do this? How'd you navigate this situation? And now you got one going into college, so I'll be pulling on you for advice there too.
Well, it's gonna be a trial by error, but I will keep you in the loop, definitely.
Patriot League, let's do a game.
We'll have to definitely go out there.
All right.
We'll definitely catch a game.
Good. Frank Vogel, everyone, Milford, Pennsylvania, good friend of mine. Enjoy the vacation, brother.
We get a thumb up.
Thumb here. Boom.
All right, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
All right, Andrew.
All right, Frank Vogel. We'll
Take
see
care.
You. We'll see you, buddy. I appreciate you. Ruby staying with you, or
I'll take her.
Yeah.
She cats. Oh.
Make sure Matthew feeds her. All right.
I'll talk to you
Frank,
soon. Frank,
thanks, buddy. Thank you. All right, our next guest is here. We're going to bring him into the program. I think Jay Billy might have been on hashtag ELB the most out of any guest I've ever had, Jay. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I think this is the first time I've spoken to you that you haven't been in the office.
Yeah, I came home tonight. It's summer. I'm trying to get out of the office earlier these days.
Oh, so you only worked 8 to 7 today.
It was a good day though. It was a good day. Trying to get ahead of the game a little bit this year. So
well, this is Jay Billy, everybody, from New Jersey, a principal, author of Lead with Culture. Jay, it was an honor for me. You wrote the foreword to the book. So cool. And like you said, in the foreword, you didn't realize we had so much in common.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. It's funny. I was just listening to the end of your conversation there with Frank too. And it's just, again, it's about being there for your kids and showing up and doing whatever you need to do. And like I said, when I read the book, I was like, a lot of this reminded me of, being a kid. And then it's funny, like I said, you were just talking to Frank, and I'm thinking of, my son just graduated from high school last week, and he's had 4 friends since they were in kindergarten.
Wow.
Pretty much the same 4. When the pandemic happened, he could have cared less about going to school as long as he got to see his friends. He was working a lot, he's doing a lot of things, but he's had the same 4 friends. So after the graduation, we all went back to one of the parents' houses, and it just like struck me as how lucky I am that my son had these friends. The parents who are like, any one of them could have raised all of our kids. My kids can walk into any of their homes with, they all have keys to each other's houses. One of the houses has a bedroom that's called Logan's room, where he sleeps over there when he's there late. So it's just like part of it is, they say it takes a village. Well, lucky enough to have, when your kids hang around with the right people, things turn out good too. That's an important thing. You watch who your kids are hanging out with, and like I said, I'm blessed. We take the boys camping every year, and the dads take the boys, and we just go, and they go off and do their thing now because they're so much older. But we just sit and talk about the kids. So yeah.
Wow. And you recently had a wedding in your family too, Jeff.
Yeah, last summer. Yeah.
Last summer.
Yeah.
So you got kids graduating, you got kids getting married. Yeah. How would you say, Jay, that you're at this stage of your parenting now? What does it mean to you to look at your kids kind of grown up now?
I'm blessed. I'm just blessed. I'm divorced. I'm a divorced dad. So my kids live with their mom. They visit me. We do stuff. I do stuff with them. But I'm just blessed that like I said, I think a lot has to do with who they hang out with. Not that we ever really like watch, but we watch. We pay attention. Jay,
so let me say. So what would be something that would be a red flag? You work in an elementary school now.
Yeah.
Those 5th graders, 6th graders, 7th graders, right? Your own children. Like, as from a parent lens, what might be something that you say, hey, I don't know if I want my kid hanging out with that kid. Like, what's going on there? What might be some things for parents could look for?
Actually, I think the biggest thing is manners and kindness, just some of the simple things. Mm-hmm. Every parent, all the kids come up, but like when, all of us have kids and they do dumb things, and we think they're idiots. But when other parents come up to you and tell you what a nice kid your kid is, or you can say that same thing about them, their child, I think those are the things, like I notice when he does things to help his friends, and his friends do things to help him that are little. So I think that is a huge thing. The manners, the kindness, teaching those basic things when they're little, and then have them see you doing those things too. Being that person that you want them to become too. I think that's important.
Jay, you write in the book here, the partnership, about your parents going to your events as a kid. You talked about your father getting involved with fundraising when they were going to cut the sports. That he worked the chains at the game, and that they always continued to go and showing up. Talk to me about what that meant to you as a kid and how that impacted you as a parent yourself.
Well, I didn't think about it back then when I was a kid. That's just kind of what they did. But I played sports all my life. So when I was little, that driving me to practices, or me and the neighborhood kids, we switched and go to practices, but they always showed up for all the games on the weekends. So I go with one parent one weekend. But as I got to middle school and high school, I traveled all over the state and all over the country wrestling, and they would just like I would have college matches in the middle of Indiana, and they just show up. I'd have college matches, in Pennsylvania, and I grew up in Ohio, so I grew, and they would just be there, like in the stands. I didn't know they were coming, didn't think anything of it, but they just always showed up, and it did mean a lot. It did mean a lot. My teammates would notice, and they would say stuff, about, how my parents were always there too. When I began coaching myself, they showed up. They would show up to my matches, and the kids on my team noticed it too. So.
Jay, you're a great leader. I mentioned you're an author. Check him out. #TLAP, lead lap, lead with culture. Jay, I love this. You wrote, parenting in the 21st century is a complex and all-encompassing set of skills and decisions that can have a profound effect on the next generation and for generations to come. Each decision we make and action we take as parents either supports our children's growth in a positive way or helps teach negative behaviors. There is no playbook. I think that says it all right there in what you wrote. It was really very well.
Thank you.
Tell me about that statement.
Well, you know what I do. I'm a principal. So I see often how, especially now with social media, how our parents are not leading by being a positive example just on simple things like that in social media. When I came to my new school, that was one of the first things I brought up was, hey, if we're going to be a great school, we have to talk about our school as great. And I put it right up there on the white, on the big screen, these posts in Facebook, this is not going to help our school become better.
Yeah.
And we are teaching our kids to be, how to act and behave. So kids will often follow that lead. I think of some of our students who struggle with relationships and treating each other kindly. And then I can see where it comes from quite often. So like I said, I think it's the modeling that's so important, but it's also constantly looking at how can I be a better leader? I drag my kids to, my son, one of the first times I was going for St. Baldrick's, so I shaved my head for cancer. And I dragged my son there and I said, come on, let's get our head shaved. And actually he was all in, which was really cool. But, we were doing it for a reason, and I threw money in so that he is contributing and just was like, this is how we set examples for our community. And so all of those things are important. Again, with the pandemic, I think of, we have a mask wearing mandate in our school. You have to wear a mask, and a lot of the parents weren't happy with it. Some of them told their kids, you don't have to wear a mask.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, what kind of example is that setting, where they have to they come in and tell the teacher, I don't have to do that. My dad says I don't. When the teacher's already told them they have to do that. And it makes it very, very difficult. So that's, but having said that, again, I say this all the time to the families too. The kids are always watching. They're always watching. And so how we behave,
Jay.
They notice.
My next guest is watching, Jay. He's chomping to get in here on the bit. I don't want him to beat me up with some kung fu. So I got to roll, Jay. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, my friend.
Love it. All right.
Thanks.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Yep.
All right. Chomping at the bit from Texas. I hope he don't whack me with one of those swords, Dave.
Never. That would never happen.
Dave, my brother from another mother.
What is happening, my man? I can't believe this.
I thought you were in a car. What happened? Where are you?
Well, man, we drove straight through. We made it here late yesterday. We're in Melrose, Texas. My wife is from Texas. We're visiting with my father-in-law right now. Nacogdoches, Texas, which I love to say. Nacogdoches.
You better be on your best behavior down with your father-in-law.
I try, man. I try.
Yeah. This is Dave Pulley, everyone. Dave is just the man, myth, legend from New England, the Pulley family. Dave came and volunteered with our family, and you went from a volunteer to a brother.
Yeah, oh man, absolutely. Family. It was an amazing experience. I touched on it in what I wrote, but it doesn't fully encompass the lessons learned and the life-changing event that it was. So I think about it every day, man. I know we don't connect enough, and I'm sure you heard this from a lot of friends or a lot of people, but I think about the Marauders every day, especially Mojo, my man, Mr. Joe, and Miss Dory.
Mojo. Oh, Dave, it was fantastic. And your excerpt, Dave, I loved it. See what happens when you open your door. Tell me about putting it on paper and what it meant to you to do that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And unfortunately, we left. We live in upstate New York right now. We left before I received the book, so I haven't had a chance to actually physically hold it. But I checked it out online.
Okay.
I was looking at it. I was researching. I said, "Listen, I'm going to be interviewed. This is serious business. I gotta make sure I at least look at it before we actually get into this." So, well, the experience was interesting because I had to try to encapsulate something that was, I spent basically 8 years with your family, and I had to try to get it down onto one page. I was like, all right, what are the key highlights here? What are the greatest things learned from being with the Marauders? And I tried my best. I hope I captured, and I hope it makes sense to what I was trying to get across, because there were so many life lessons that took place, so much love and care that was put into that, one page, I probably could have written my own book on it, a whole separate piece. But it was a great experience. So a lot of good memories coming back, and just being able to focus it down to what it meant the most was huge. It was a huge benefit for me.
And I love the fact, like, you became friends with my dad, right? He was my dad. He was our dad, but you became, and that he opened up to you. Dave, you wrote here that, some of the best conversations were self-reflection. We talked about his children often, and sometimes he would reminisce. He would pause frequently and make comments like, maybe I was too strict, or how could I have done that differently? Like, we never saw that. We only saw the decision or the hand,
Of course. Yeah, like we all do it. And you know what? That has helped me in my life with my kids. So if I'm making a decision that, I know they're not going to be happy with, I don't just try to say it and that's the way it goes. I try to explain it. Say, look, I'm doing this because of A, B, and C. Not because I want to be mean or you think I'm trying to be mean. I try to give explanations when I'm working with my children, or even some of my staff, some of my people I manage. It's not just this is the way it is. You got to explain yourself, and it was important to see him reflect back on that, because we were all adults at the time, and we would hang out on that front porch and we would talk, and he would talk about every life circumstance, and he would often say, I'm not sure I did that right with my kids. It was very important, something I do think about on a regular basis. It was huge impact on me.
And it goes to you, David. I mean, they said, like, David, you got to be involved, you got to be with the family, but you're a great listener. Us Marauders, we can talk. But you were a great listener, and it goes to your role as a social worker, really, about how to build those relationships. But you're a great listener, and you were there for him.
Well, I tried to be, yeah. Your parents were there for me. You all were there for me at a time. My family was all in Boston, 4 hours away, and I didn't have just but myself. So to be adopted by a whole family is a huge blessing. You can't really ask for more than that, especially when you live so far. I mean, I was only going to be in New York State for a year. I've been here 20 years now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So Dave, we know the ending of the story, and unfortunately for you, you were there, and you look at some things greater in our lives of why things happen, that you were there at the moment when Dad passed. That's been something that's been hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a grown man that dies in the shower with the water running on him, and you were trying to save him. What did that mean for you, David? What did that do to you?
Well, and your dad and I would talk about this a lot. With his diabetes, he reflected a lot on life, and that's where stuff come up with his parenting, and that I do right with my kids and himself. That am I doing the most I can with Dory and with my life and stuff? And at that, obviously at that moment, I'm not thinking about anything but trying to help him. But afterwards, it's like, he had just finished a marathon, and we were celebrating, and he went up to take a shower, and next thing you know, I'm in the shower trying to revive him, So you gotta think about every day, as important as it is. And some days drag on, man. If the pandemic taught us anything, we're stuck at home. Some days go on for longer than 24 hours, it feels like, right? But we gotta try as best we can to appreciate what we have when we have it. And when I think back on that, it's odd to say, but I feel very honored to have been there at that last moment, with your parents. As people that I loved and as people that I do love, it was a huge impact to think about. All right, how am I going to live? How am I going to spend my time every day? What am I going to reflect on? So it is something else that I think of regularly.
Yeah, it was a traumatic experience for us, and but to know that you were there with him, a friend and comfort, kept my mom out of there. But David, you're an amazing guy, man. I mean, for what you did, you wrote about how my parents opened the door to you.
Yeah.
But you engaged with our family. You came down. We talked sports. We talked Red Sox and Yankees. It was just an amazing thing. And Dave, I'm fortunate now. I get to speak and I tell this story about what happened. That the families coming together, your brothers coming down.
Yeah.
Just was an amazing thing. David, tell me about your children now. I hope to come see you this summer. How old are your children in your family now?
So I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they're in the pool. Granddad's got a pool. They're out back swimming right now, and it's about 90 degrees here, so they're out swimming all day long. And it's I got a wonderful wife, Haley, and I owe a lot to how I try to operate in my life, to my experience with your family. Obviously, with my family, every experience impacts the way we are and how we live our lives. But living with the Marauders, you get to be part of a family from outside the family, right? It gives you a whole new perspective. It's awesome. I often tell stories to the kids and and Haley about so many experiences, man, so many good things.
We could go story for story, bro. It could be a marathon.
It would be nuts.
We're at my grandmother's funeral. We're all standing there. My father, David, come grab the coffin. No, David. And here you are carrying the coffin into the church.
Yeah, yelling at me. He said, "All the grandkids," and I stood back and said, "No, you get in." I'm like, I was like, "Mr. Joe, I appreciate it. No, get in there. All right, I'm going in."
Dave, I appreciate some time, Dave. I do have our next friend up, so I do got to let you go. Dave, I'm going to shoot you some dates to come to Saratoga. Okay, buddy?
Hey, man, let's do it. Do it. Love you, brother.
I love you
Great
too.
job on this book, man.
All right, thanks, brother. Thanks, brother.
See you, bud. All right.
Dave Pulley, everybody. Boston, Massachusetts. Oh, my goodness. Here they are. They're in Connecticut. They're from Ghana. They're from the Bronx. They're from North Carolina. They're from Kentucky. They're from all over the place. The Saki family. Welcome, Sakis.
What's up, Drew? How we doing, buddy?
Good, Mr. Principal, Mrs. Saki. Good to see you. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool, man. We're excited. I'm still waiting for my copy of the book, Mr. Murata. But the amazing thing is, when I first heard about the project, I do have to say I was absolutely thrilled and amazed. I mean, you're one of the most what's the word I'm looking for? Creative, brilliant, understanding, smart guys. To get all these minds together to put together their thoughts on topics that you chose, I thought was absolutely brilliant, man. So thank you for taking the time to put this together. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. That's a nice compliment, Al. But it's been so great to talk to my guests here. We've been going since 5:30, meeting all these people about what they wrote about, what they spoke about, and your excerpt, voice, Anna, was just so beautifully written. Anna, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, and a little bit about you guys. And I want to ask about what you wrote about, your beautiful family. Anna?
My name is Anna Saki, and Al and I are both parents of 3 wonderful kids. We're both educators too. Al's a principal, middle school principal, and I've taught elementary school for years. And we know Drew from college days.
Yo, for college.
No, but always a lot of fun.
Women's rugby. I'm always supporting the women's rugby team.
There you go.
And Anna and Al, you have your beautiful children, Kenote, Korkor, and I don't want to mispronounce it, Lartakor. But nice. You wrote about Kenote and autism and about your journey as parents in working through all of those challenges. And Anna, we had a lot of beautiful authors in here. This was so beautifully written. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you wrote about and share about some of those challenges and what that voice is, why that voice is so important.
When we became parents, we were both already educators. We had like multiple degrees, graduate degrees in education. But it wasn't until we had our first child and he started to struggle that we realized that the importance of voice as a parent and how that guides and nurtures the children developing their own voice. When our son was 2, he was diagnosed with autism, and that kind of shattered us and everything about our world and our life. And we leaned strongly on God and on our love and relationship with each other and with him, and learned very quickly that that the voice that we had as parents was so important. In the beginning, it was very humbling because I didn't know much about autism at all, and really had to learn quickly to educate myself, and not just on autism itself, but on my son and how he was doing. And since then, we've gone to like countless IEP meetings and 504 meetings for all 3 of our kids for a range of different things that they've struggled with, and over the years, it's just reinforced the importance of voice as a parent. I mean, as a teacher as well, like I've been to countless IEP meetings of other families, and what a difference and impact it has when the parents speak up and share on their child. Because as parents, it's so important for us to share our concerns and to voice where our children are. There may be someone who has a doctorate in that certain diagnosis or is a renowned physician or clinician in a certain area, but that doesn't mean that they have more authority or expertise on your child than you do. You know, I think as parents, it's important for us to educate ourselves, even if it's a little heartbreaking, on what our children are going through. But at the same time, we need to do that, and we also need to speak up as to how our children are as individuals and how they're doing and what we feel like they need. Because when we speak up in that way, we're listened to, and we're able to get what we believe and what we think our children, best need.
And just to add to that, Andrew, the voice that Anna is talking about, and the whole idea of advocacy and us being our children's advocate, through that voice and through that advocacy, and making sure that we're fighting for what we felt he needed. He got all the supports that we could have possibly gotten him, through his time, to the point where, by God's grace, he's a typical high schooler, playing football in Bethel, right? So, so like that's the power and the grace of God, right? Where it's funny that the things that we were like, oh, I hope, one day he's able to do blank. And now he's like a typical teenager driving us crazy, right? So like, that's that's the power of God, and that's the power of advocacy, right? And that's the power of that voice, right?
And when people tell you that something's not possible, that this is the projection for the life of your child, that's not the case. You know, you got to have faith. We have tremendous faith in God, and you got to step up and do all you can within your, you know, within your ability to learn what you can and to speak up for your kid until they can speak up for themselves. Like, you definitely need to nurture them taking ownership and responsibility for their own voice. But in the meantime, you got to really speak up for them.
Beautiful. And again, Anna, so well written. Al, having you go through this challenge with your son and your family, has it made you a better school leader?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think, very often, I look at things in my own building through the lens of, is this what I would want for my kids, right? So if it's not something that I want for my kids, then I don't want it for anybody else's child, right? So I always look at any decision that I make from the lens of, how does this impact children? How is this good for children, right? And so that's what drives my decision making. That's what drives my focus. If this is something that's going to be good for my child, then it's going to be good for everybody else's child as well, right? So I use my children and my students as my lens into every decision that I make. So yes, it's definitely helped me in being that leader.
And you guys started a website, Anna, where you do some other writing, breathoffaith.com. Tell me a little bit about what people could find there and what's the goal there, Anna?
Personally, myself and through our family, there's definitely been a lot of struggles, and I think we all have struggles that we're faced with in life, and I try to use that as a starting board to kind of offer other people shared hope and encourage their faith to overcome their own challenges in life.
I've always told Anna that, she is absolutely exceptional with her words, right? So I've been trying to, encourage her to just keep that writing, keep that, because, if you get a chance to take a look at some of the writing that she does, she's just it comes from the heart, and you see it as you read those words. So, I think she's an exceptional writer, and hopefully, that's something that she continues to do.
You're a lucky man, Al Saki. And let's have a little reunion. Let's have a little reunion here. I see him bouncing around. Let's see if we can have a little Guilford College reunion with our friend Kevin Spainhour.
Yes.
We're trying to bring him in here.
Oh, wow.
Kevin,
Pull him right in. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy.
Hold on. We're having some technical difficulties. Find out what's happening. Hold on.
Oh, boy.
We can't get Spainhour into the show. Kevin, hold on. Kevin, you can hear me? Yeah, he can hear me. Let's move.
Hear you.
Why is it not going? Hold on, Gavin. Let me remove you. All right, let's try again. Oh, Kevin.
No worries.
Yo, you're blocked, Kevin. What's happening? We haven't had any technical difficulties all show, and Kevin shows up and screws the thing up.
There you go. Well, Kevin, right?
Get off and come back. Get off and come back. Let me see what happens.
Oh, my goodness.
Get off and come back. I can't. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Al.
Oh, no worries, man.
You should be able to go on together. Al, while we're waiting for him, how is your first year going as principal here?
Yes. We still need to do some talking, Andrew. Starting in a new space in the middle of a global pandemic has been absolutely humbling for me, right? I have been blessed that the community that I'm in, the parents are incredible, the students are fantastic, my staff is top notch. So I've been blessed with that. I'm a praying person, Andrew. So I'm humbled by the people that I've met there. The district leadership as well as the parent leadership and the parents. I mean, everyone stepped up the way that they had to, and that's what allowed us to get through this pandemic successfully, right? Without everybody kind of doing their part, this would have been very different. I always say, we were one of only 2 middle schools in Westchester County to have our students in school every single day. because to us that was important. It was important for the kids to have a contact time with the teacher on a daily basis. So, and we are one of the largest middle schools in Westchester County as well. So, like I said, I'm very proud of my staff, my students, that entire community, they made it happen. So good first year, Andrew, good first year.
Good. And Anna, have you gone back to working full time right now, or still you're with your children now? You're home. What's going on there?
I went back to teaching for a while, but I developed some pretty debilitating health problems that made me need to stay home. So I'm grateful to have the time with my kids and the opportunity to do some writing. And whatever God has for me, I'm open to it, even though it may not be exactly what I imagined it would be.
Sure. And I know one of the things we talked about, Al, your Ghanaian heritage, and, I know you talked about a school there. Is that still a goal down the road? Where is that? I know it was maybe just a dream or a vision when we were talking about it, but is that still something that you'd like to see happen?
100%, man. From your mouth to God's ears, Drew. That's been a vision from, as for many years now. We're at the point where, we do have the space that we want to put up the school. And now, it's going to reach a point that then I actually have to start, doing some fundraising to put up the school. But we're at the point where that is something that, has always been a passion that, I trust. It's been our dream for as long as, we've been together. And I know that by God's grace, it's only a matter of time that school will be built.
Sure.
And, hopefully we can bring, lives to Christ through that.
Al and Anna, hold on. Let me see if I pull you out, if I can bring Kevin in. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. Kevin, hang tight.
Sure.
Saki's, hang on for a second.
Sure.
Kevin, what's going on? I got, man. Kevin, go ahead. Can I hear you speak now? We can hear you now. Yeah, but you're not, I can't get you on the screen. I could see you, but you're not in the show. Al, can you hear him?
Nope, can't hear anything.
Yeah, you're not in yet, Kevin.
No worries. We can definitely reconnect.
I'm not sure where we're at, Kevin. Yeah, man. Man, I wanted to bring you guys together.
I know. No worries, man. No worries. But we are grateful to you for this opportunity to even talk and to connect. And and like I said, the voice that Anna had spoken about. We are just so blessed and thankful, to God for the way everything played out. Like I said, through that advocacy, through that voice, through the grace of God, he's doing great. And like I said, football about to be an Eagle Scout. We're excited for him, and we're excited for what he's going to be doing with his life. And thank you, Drew.
Beautiful stuff, Al. Al, let me run here, my friend. Anna, thank you so much for your excerpt. And we will see you guys soon, okay?
Yes, my friend. We'll see you, buddy.
All right,
say what's up to Drew say what's up to Spain for me.
I will if I can get him in.
I know, right?
Technical difficulties here.
All right, my friend.
Kevin. I'm not sure what's happening. All I do is click the button. Let's see. No.
How does
Yes,
Kevin,
but you're like in my waiting room.
Do I X out, Drew?
Now the Sakis are back on here. Al, are you still there?
Do I X out of this? What do you want me to do? Shall I X out?
We're having technical difficulties here, team.
No
we
worries.
were going seamless. 2 hours. We've had how many guests here? And the Guilford guys show up and they screw it up. Oh. You on your phone, Kevin? Golly. I guess I shouldn't curse on my podcast here. That wouldn't be good. It's not coming in, Kevin. I don't know. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck. If you're watching live, I apologize. We've been going good. This is Kevin Spanhour, but I don't think people can hear you. If anybody's watching, let me have someone pull on. Maybe Laura. Can Laura pull it up? See what's happening here? I saw that, bro. You were driving. You were juggling. I have Kevin Spanhour here, and we are having some technical difficulties. I do. My former student, Life in the Front Row. I'm waiting for him to join us. Yeah. Something happened here, Kevin. Oh, this is disappointing. I wonder you have two excerpts, Kevin. Yeah, and I don't see Gavin now. You see Gavin on your end? Oh, yeah. I never saw that host chat. Yeah. Yeah. Gavin's in here. This me neither. No. I'm telling Gavin to disconnect and come back. I don't know what happened. The Guilford boys messed up my program. Oh man. Kevin, let's try one more time. Let's try one more time, Kevin. Try to come back in. I'm gonna kick you out. Gavin, you are on. Why can't I bring people in? We can hear you, but something happened here. This is not. Yeah, Gavin, but I don't have you in the studio here. Not yet, no. Kevin and Gavin ruining the show here. We're going to try to get some technical help here. All right. Hang tight, folks, if you are on here. I'm not sure what happened here, guys. This is not good. Well, I can see the two of you guys. Can you pull up my podcast now and let me know what's happening here? Because we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know what happened here, Kevin. I apologize, Gavin. You're here. It's not. Yeah. Oh. And I could hear you, Kevin, but yeah, you're not in the show. I can't. It's not allowing me to bring you guys in. Yeah, I wonder if might have been a time limit. There might have been a time limit here, so I'm gonna shut it down, guys, and try to bring it back here. Kevin, I know we're past your time here, my friend. Sounds good, boys. Let's see if we can bring it back. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks. Yes, Gavin.